BWOne here from BWOne, and it's that time of the year again. It is Wrestlemania season. It's Wrestlemania tonight. And you guys know I'm a wrestling fan. You've seen plenty of videos of me with wrestling shirts on. So I figure, just to add a little variety to the channel, I throw in my Wrestlemania predictions and kind of talk about it here a little bit. So we'll see how this goes. I might throw a few wrestling videos in the channel, just see what people think about it here. So it's one of my other passions. I really like wrestling a whole lot. Got the card here on my phone as soon as the app stops acting up here. And let's pull up the matches there. And we'll go over all the matches. I'm going to start off from the pre-show all the way to the main event. Very interesting Wrestlemania where I think a lot of the storylines from a WWE perspective challenges logic a little bit, and I'm just critiquing I think WWE is a great company, just been critiquing their writing so far, which I think has struggled over the last couple of years, but I think some interesting things could happen if they do things a certain way. So let's first start off here. First match on the WrestleMania kickoff show, it's going to be the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. It's going to be Kidd and Cesaro, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, who are the champions, versus the New Day, with Kofi Kingston and Big E, I think, are the ones that are going to be wrestling in that. Los Matadores, the Usos are also be in that, and yep, that's the four teams right there. So basically, that Fatal 4-Way is going to kick off the show. It's going to get everyone hyped, get everyone energized into it. We're going to see some high spots, some pretty cool wrestling, some nice high-flying moves. In the end of the day, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro will most likely walk out the champions in that match because there really isn't any other reason to take the belt off of them. Not going to happen with New Day. That thing. I don't know. I'm hoping Big E. I hope the three of those guys at New Day get something better after this because the gimmick's garbage for them. Well, also the Usos, I think they're going to continue their feud after with Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. So I think that'll happen after WrestleMania. So I'm waiting for them to get the titles. They're the only second most likely to make sense to win the titles. If they want to give them a WrestleMania win, they can do that way. But I don't think they will. And Los Matadores isn't going to win it. They're in there for the high spots and the high flying, pretty much. That's what we're going to see there. And we'll get some entertainment with the little midget bull, Naomi, and Natalya will all be around in this. So it'll be a little hodgepodge of stuff. But Kidd Cesaro is going to be over in that match, walk out the tag team champions. Next is the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. This has a number of wrestlers in it. They've always had a battle royal at WWE, and the reason they do this, they want to get everybody on the card because if everybody's working hard all year, so they want to get everybody on the card because everybody gets paid if they're on a wrestling show. So it makes sense that everyone gets in there. But who I'd want to win this would honestly, truthfully, I want to see Ryback win this because I think he's a character that WWE's failed on several times when they have the opportunity to elevate him and get him to the right point. Granted, yeah, okay, he's not the best wrestler in terms of what I think the internet wrestling community, the IWC out there, think what wrestlers should be, but I think there's a market for those Goldberg-esque characters that I think a lot of fans, casual and casual fans and not your typical everyday fans really like and enjoy, and I think they can do some good things with that. I've seen some of the promos that they've done with him, and it's been far better than the storylines that they give him, and I think they have a dynamic character. They just need to push it a little bit further, and so I'm hoping that he ends up winning this. The only other scenario I could see, honestly, with this is if they do something between Damien Sandow and The Miz and Mizdow. Miz is one of my favorite guys. They do something between them where one screws over the other for it, and they may have a little spat on WrestleMania, might lead into the WrestleMania show, but I don't think that's necessarily gonna particularly happen. I mean, they might have a little spat after and leads into WrestleMania itself, but who knows with that. But I don't think they need that because I don't think that's really gonna go past a month or so before that gets boring. So I would say Ryback would benefit the most by getting a big win here. So. All right, and big guys never win those things in here, so it'd be nice to see that. But that kicks off the WrestleMania show. I think it's going to get fans hot, excited into the show, and I think both of those matches will be pretty good. So the kickoff is there. Now we have to go into the regular show itself. So let's talk about some of the matches here. In no particular order how they probably will show up on the card. Let's start off with Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins. The Money in the Bank winner, Seth Rollins, most likely will have J&J Security with them as well too. So with him as well too. The interesting thing about this match is Randy Orton already got his revenge on Seth Rollins for the most part on Raw, beat the living tar out of the guy. They kind of gave everyone the payoff already 3 weeks ago on Raw, so I'm not quite sure why this is happening here other than they just need to fill a match in. I do think this will be a very good match between these two. I think they'll do a great job. I think Seth Rollins is a great performer. I think he's going to be a better babyface, good guy, babyface. If you guys bad guys are heels. For those aren't typical wrestling head, bad guys are called heels, and babyfaces are good guys. Just typical wrestling talk or wrestling terms there. But I think he'll be a better face because I think his moveset, when I've seen him do a few things at the Royal Rumble, fit that more where fans will get behind him. But nevertheless, I think he goes down here. I think it's going to be Randy Orton. And I'm going to tell you the reason why a little bit later why I think Randy Orton is going to end up winning. Why Randy Orton will end up winning this match. So Orton for the win in a great, some RKO out of nowhere spot somewhere so we can get a whole bunch of gifs on the internet about it will happen here. Randy Orton goes over. Seth Rollins will still look strong in the match, obviously, as well, too. But that's the first match. I don't think that'll stop the show, but that's the first match we'll talk about here. Next one, we'll talk about the Divas match, AJ and Paige versus the Bella Twins. This is what it is. I am not the biggest fan of the Bella Twins. They're on mainly because of Total Divas. I don't want to say they're not talented, but I think that their in-ring talent level isn't just where I would want it to be for two divas that have been in the ring as long as they have been in the WWE longer also than the other two girls that have been there. So other two girls that they're fighting. So with that, but I'm gonna say the Bella Twins are probably gonna win this match because it just makes sense for them to win this match. I think in WWE's mind frame, what I would prefer to see is I would actually like to see the AJ and Paige win this match with AJ pinning the champion, and the next night after WrestleMania, because that's the big Raw. Always after WrestleMania, big stuff happens. They have another Divas Championship match. They love switching the Divas title on that night. And what I would love to see is AJ win, not because AJ just wins clean, but AJ wins because Brie Bella screws over Nikki. I mean, that payoff at some point has to happen. And for them to kind of us pretend that last year SummerSlam, Nikki screwed Brie, then won a match that made Brie her slave for like 30 days. Well, I should say slave, assistant for 30 days. And then he just kind of brushed over it like none of that happened. Just completely forget that happened. No, stop defying logic. It's like you telling, no, just come on. But if they could make that moment happen, I think it will spark that Divas division just a little bit more with it. They're doing this, give Divas a chance thing, and hopefully they will do that, give these girls a lot better of a shot here. Because I think you have some great girls coming from NXT, but I want to see that happen. But once again, I would like I said, I think the Bella Twins are going to win, but my scenario would be Paige and AJ win, AJ beats Nikki for the title because Brie screws Nikki over. Would like to see that. We'll see what happens there. All right, let's talk about the next match that's on this card. Let's take a look here. What's another one we're going to talk about? All right, let's talk about Rusev versus John Cena. This is for the United States Championship, Rusev versus John Cena. Actually, we'll come back to that match. I'll actually go back. I actually want to go to there's a reason why I'm doing this way. Let's actually talk about the Intercontinental title match. It's a 6-man ladder match, 6 or 7-man ladder match. You have Bad News Barrett, who's the champion, coming in, taking on R-Truth, Dean Ambrose, Luke Harper, Dolph Ziggler, Stardust, and Daniel Bryan. So 7-man ladder match. This is essentially their replacement for the Money in the Bank, since Money in the Bank has its own pay-per-view and it used to be a WrestleMania, so now we're just going to hang the Intercontinental title over it, and that's how it's going to go. This is going to be the great match of people looking for those high spots, those death-defying moves, those crazy things sort of happening in matches. That's where you're going to get out of this, and all these guys are going to perform very, very, very well. Now, as far as who's going to win this, I truly think it would make sense for Daniel Bryan to win this match, make him a Grand Slam champion. They've kind of made a big deal out of that. There's something similar to who trained him. Shawn Michaels is also accomplished as well too. So that makes sense for that to sort of happen. And I think all the other guys in there will have a good showing. Everyone will look strong. Everyone will have their moments. But I think in the end of the day, we're going to get a yes chant on top of the ladder with Daniel Bryan walking out as the Intercontinental Champion. Now, there's a reason why I picked him to be Intercontinental Champion, because it's going to involve something the next night on Raw. Now, to get to that point, now we can talk about Rusev versus John Cena for the United States Championship. Now, I want to point something out that I've mentioned: that John Cena, Randy Orton, and Rusev. John Cena, Randy Orton, and Daniel Bryan. The last 3 world champions before Brock Lesnar are not even anywhere near the main event of WrestleMania this year. And beyond that, 2 of them are fighting for secondary titles. Some little food for thought there. Kind of interesting what WWE's been thinking lately in this little weird merge they've been kind of in for a little bit. John Cena, Rusev, United States title. They're running the whole America gimmick. And I think fans gloss over this so hard these days. It's such a played out thing. I think it hurts Rusev more that this Russian thing is with him versus I think they'd have just made him just this machine. Lana could have been Russian. I think that'd have been fine, but he would just been this machine just going at it, and there's no country ties and all this other stuff adding to it. I think would have gravitated people more into the character than I think it is right now. And plus, he's very similar to when they first pushed Wyatt back, has been in this weird, lame, undefeated streak. He's been beating the same mid-card guys over and over again with no real big, significant wins. I think the biggest guy he beat a couple former world champions. He beat Jack Swagger, like anybody remembers that. Jack Swagger ever being a champion, world champion for that matter. And even with Sheamus, he beat Sheamus for the United States Championship. But not much has really come out of that. Like he's been kind of around, and he's getting John Cena, which I think he's getting him a little too early, to be honest with you. This is, a character like John Cena who's at a high level and where he's at. You figure a wrestler would have to build up to get into a fight against him, but WWE uses him honestly in a way to help promote other characters, help other characters get noticed, get seen, and kind of get them started. This Rusev Cena match is very similar to what they did last year with Bray Wyatt and John Cena. Now, we'll go through wins and losses. I know a lot of people in the internet community will complain about that, and Bray Wyatt lost and he got buried by John Cena. Well, truthfully, no. And a feud with that got Bray Wyatt so much more attention from fans that may not have been paying attention to him. Some casual fans that I know that don't watch WWE every day were watching during WrestleMania season and learned about Bray Wyatt, and they were like, oh man, I really like this character. And I've seen them go to shows and do the little Fireflies thing when they have their cell phones lit up and things like that. And that's always where you want to see a character get to, where the fans are just that invested into it. And John Cena does a great job of telling a story in a ring, along with Rusev, along with whoever he's with. He does that great classic, telling the story in the ring, WWE style, where everything matters, everything goes at the right pace, where there's always just big moments, and every little thing matters. Less is a little bit more, I would say there. And that's what they're trying to do with Rusev here. I think it will help Rusev and it will work. I think the winner of this match is going to be John Cena, because I honestly think Rusev needs to lose something, because, like I said, it's been this weak undefeated streak. You need to add a dynamic to the character. So having him lose to John Cena would make a lot of sense right now. I think it would help him out. John Cena can help, I guess, elevate the U.S. title. I know they're trying to get these other titles elevated now, but he can move on, do what he needs to do. He'll probably debut a new shirt, by the way, too. Probably some American flag style shirt. He tends to debut a new one every year around WrestleMania, either at or a little bit before it, but we'll see a new shirt from him. And the reason I wanted to say this after the IC title match, because after Rusev loses tonight to Cena, I think the very next night at WrestleMania, they have to find some way, WWE and logic and the way they do things, has to find some way to move, to get a match between Rusev and Daniel Bryan, who I picked to be Intercontinental champion the very next night. He beats Daniel Bryan for the title, just annihilates him, however unfair it is, sending authority down, whatever they want to do, and gives him that heel heat, and he walks out Intercontinental champion. I think that would just be a great way, like I said, to get great bad guy heel heat for him, get him in a feud with somebody I think would have a great dynamic between Daniel Bryan and Rusev, which I think can go for a while, go for a few months down the road. And it keeps Rusev at that hot level, and he's fighting another former world champion main eventer in Daniel Bryan. It will just kind of help out. I would like to see that type of thing sort of happen. So basically Cena over Rusev, but then the next night on Raw, Rusev beats Daniel Bryan, who I picked to be IC champion, to win the title, gets that bad guy in heel heat back again, and he becomes an even stronger character going forward. So we'll see if that happens that way. Who knows? But like I said, I think this match will be that classic WWE style, get you all the ranges of emotions, get you sucked in. Every little thing sort of matters within. I think they'll do a good job with it there. Whether you like Cena or you hate Cena, he does a great job of that. And he's always the guy that gets the best reaction. Whether you're getting booed or cheered, you're reacting to him. And in the end of the day, he does that better than everyone else right now in the business. So I'm going to go there with that. All right, so we've talked about those two matches. Let's get into, I guess, the final three here. It's the Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. Wow, this match would have been awesome 1 year ago when Undertaker was still undefeated. Imagine if he was still undefeated going against Bray Wyatt, and this dynamic would have been amazing to kind of see happen here. Now you have Undertaker coming back after a loss at WrestleMania. He's not even fighting the guy that he lost to, and Brock Lesnar. And well, we'll see. I mean, I'm going to say right now, Undertaker's going to win this match. He's not going to lose two WrestleManias in a row. And I think that kind of will hurt Bray Wyatt just a little bit, but I think he'll look strong. But imagine if he was still undefeated, I think Bray Wyatt would have won this match, and he would have been a perfect character to continue forward, saying he beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. It would have been just perfect, but I think WWE missed the boat with this just a little bit here, unfortunately. But we'll see going forward with that. But like I said, I think it'll be a very good match. Undertaker's going to go over, and that's pretty much going to be it with that in terms of that match. Let's talk about next Sting versus Triple H. Very interesting. We have Undertaker and Sting on the same card finally. They're not even facing each other. Hopefully we get a stare down at some point, at least that. I understand these guys are near or over their 50s. It's going to be a little bit harder to have a good match, but we have to figure out a way to get some fan service between the two of these guys and maybe get them in the ring at a WrestleMania, who knows? Because we're getting Sting versus Triple H. I don't know who asked for this. I don't know. I didn't know people were interested in Sting versus Triple H, but we're getting Sting versus Triple H, obviously. So it should be a good match. I know why Sting's here. I think the Triple H as that role backstage and running WWE or helping run WWE has been very good in mending a lot of relationships. We've seen a lot of things happen with the Hall of Fame and getting guys that you never think would show up in Sting and such like that. So I think that's a really good thing he's been doing. Now, in terms of this match and the storyline and scenario, it defies all logic. Sting's already dropped him like 2 or 3 times already. I think we'll see in this match, we'll see Triple H pull out every stop possible he can do, every trick in the book to try and beat Sting. We're going to see a sledgehammer, we're going to see outside interference, every little thing. He'll poke the ref in the eye, he'll kick one in the nuts, whatever he's got to do to try to win this match, he's going to do. But at the end of the day, he's going to get dropped with a Scorpion Death Drop, he's going to get put in the Scorpion Death Log, and he's going to tap out in the middle of that ring, and Sting's going to end up being victorious. The only thing I hope is that they give Sting his old theme, WCW theme back, because the one they gave him now is terrible. I don't even know why they have it on there, but Sting over Triple H, I think that's pretty much a given at this point. Be surprised if it went another way. Now let's talk about the main event. The main event. That is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. That's why I took a deep breath for that, because this match has been a little controversial. A lot of fans have not been happy with Roman Reigns seemingly getting forced and pushed into this spot here. A lot of people don't think he's ready. For one, I don't think he's ready either, but I don't hate the guy at the same time. I think he's a guy that's got something there that could take a little bit more time to kind of massage around, especially dump the Shield gimmick. Because here's the thing. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose don't look like Shield members anymore. For some reason, Roman Reigns still looks like a Shield member. And then they try to promote him as this big, there's like powerhouse, but at the end of the day, he's much smaller than Brock Lesnar. He's smaller than Kane. He's smaller than Ryback. He's smaller than John Cena, truthfully, too. He's a little bit taller, but he's smaller than him muscular-wise, so I really don't understand that. They got to find, I think, some type of way of getting him into a different character. But find the beast, Brock Lesnar, and truthfully now, most people are already probably saying, oh, you know what's going to happen here? You know what? Roman Reigns is going to win, and Seth Rollins is going to cash in, and that's how the night's going to end. I don't think that scenario could happen, and the reason I think that can't happen is because, for me, most logically, Seth Rollins can't go in and cash that way and you end WrestleMania sort of on the heel winning and some fans booing, some fans cheering. They usually try to end in some type of happy ending of some sort at WrestleMania. It's going to be a little hard this year, but I don't really know about that. Like the thing was, I think if Seth Rollins could be a face and do that, like the only way that he could possibly end up turning around and being a face in one night, doing that, and every fan in the building cheering as if like he turned on the Authority, curb stomped Triple H that same night, cashed in and beat the Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar for the title, would be, suited, or he interjects himself either before it gets in, it makes a triple threat, or after, whichever one he does, that scenario. But what I think logically is going to honestly happen is we're going to see Brock Lesnar win this match, because WWE loves giving Brock Lesnar everything on the planet and pushing to the moon. Especially now that he lets limited dates, and they got to remind you every so often there's a WWE World Heavyweight Champion around. I forgot, this match is for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Yes, they still have that title around here. I forget that title's around. He's only around but so often. He did resign, and this is what gave me the sign that I think Brock Lesnar is not only going to win this match, he's going to He's gonna get a lot from Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns is gonna look strong as he can, but I think around the third or maybe fourth F5, we're gonna see Brock Lesnar winning that match with his hand raised victoriously. But he might be a little glazed and dazed from the match, and this is when Seth Rollins will try to interject himself in and try to cash in and get the Money in the Bank. He will cash in and try. He will successfully get a curb stomp on Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar is a beast. They promote him as this beast incarnate, the God amongst men. Will kick out of that. F5 Seth Rollins, not once, but twice, and will walk out not only winning the main event of WrestleMania, but beating also the Money in the Bank winner as well too. So I think he'll come out both, and it'll look like the strong, unbelievable God that they want him to look like to everyone out there. And I think that'll be their opportunity tonight to do that. So I see that's what's going to happen. Now, the reason I also see that happening is one of the reasons why I picked Randy Orton to beat Seth Rollins, because I think the next feud that they're going to have to come up with against Brock Lesnar, it just makes sense for it to be Randy Orton, because they haven't had Orton versus Lesnar, and those guys were the two youngest world champions to happen at the time. Actually, I think Brock was the youngest champion, and then when Brock left, Randy Orton actually beat that record, I think a year or two later. But you know, I think that's what's going to come next. That's the next big feud that they'll be able to work with there. I think that's the way that's going to work out. So the only way you can do that is you got to make sure Brock Lesnar is going to come out looking strong. And I don't think they're going to take the title off of him anytime soon. He's got to go at least a year. They gave him the Undertaker's undefeated streak. They had a really crap match at SummerSlam where he just tossed John Cena around for 16 suplexes. Still to this day, I think that's one of the dumbest matches I think they've ever done. And there's no way they're gonna do all that and just dump the title like this few months later, or this close to him having it a year. It just makes sense. He walks into SummerSlam next year. SummerSlam this year in New York, where he can be a champion for a year, and you can have him go against a John Cena. Maybe it could look to tie Ric Flair's record. I know the Ric Flair says he's 21, but WWE recognizes the 16-time world champion. We're just gonna go with that. And John Cena has a chance to tie that, or you go maybe Daniel Bryan goes against him as well too, or some combination of that, or maybe a furtherly built or more further along Roman Reigns faces him and maybe beats him there at that point as well too. So I see those scenarios happening when they're looking down the line that way in terms of that. But the only way to get there is if Brock Lesnar wins tonight, and I think that's how it's going to eventually end WrestleMania tonight. So that's just the card. I pretty much went through every match. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, post them below. Enjoy WrestleMania tonight. If you don't watch any other pay-per-view all year long, watch it. It's only $9.99 to watch on the WWE Network. Seriously, it's cheap. Just buy it, watch it. And if you don't watch another pay-per-view, that's fine. But this is the one to definitely watch here. So let me know what you guys think. Like I said, post in the comments below. And always remember to live your tech world in high definition. Not sure if that matches with wrestling, but thanks for watching.